All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story, Nick Walker. I think that so far, Nick has been one of the biggest bodybuilding stories of the year, especially as an amateur, earning his pro card, which he probably deserved way before this year's North Americans. And the even bigger story is that he's making his pro debut right after turning pro. Just 6 weeks, I believe, the difference between the North Americans and the Chicago show that he's doing next weekend. And going into his pro debut, he's already the favorite to win, which is pretty impressive for someone that just turned pro about a month ago. So he posted this physique update, and he's less than 2 weeks out right now. So it's going to be next weekend, the Chicago Pro. And he looks insane. To me, he looks better than any of the updates that we saw of him at the 2 weeks out point from the North Americans. And I think we're going to see a better version of Nick here than what we saw at the North Americans, because for those 6 weeks, obviously, he was already in shape for the North Americans, and he continued that prep for 6 more weeks, which I think is going to lend itself to being a better version of Nick. Maybe the North Americans you could think of as a warm-up show for his pro debut. He knows now what was good, what was bad, and what to tweak from a month ago at the North Americans. And I think he's going to make those minor adjustments, and that's going to bring a much better package from Nick. And like I said, look at this physique update right here, this most muscular, how hard and grainy he looks in this update. His conditioning looks like it's going to be spot on. And that's exactly what you want to see from big guys like Nick. Now, a lot of Nick's hype was because, and is because, he's such a big guy at such a young age, so early in his pro bodybuilding career. But what you also want to see with that size is crazy conditioning. And this photo is exactly what you want to see from someone like Nick. The striations in his chest, the deep separation in his abs while still maintaining roundness and fullness. He's got that grainy look, veins all throughout his legs. I think he's going to do very, very well at the Chicago Pro, and I tend to agree with the assessment that he has a good chance of winning his pro debut, and certainly improving upon the package that he brought at the NPC North Americans just a month ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to this Chicago Pro. It's going to be a really good show. Now, speaking of upcoming shows, you guys know this weekend we have the Europa Spain. A lot of big names in that lineup, one of those being Rafael Brandao. Now, Rafael Brandao has posted a ton of physique updates, videos, progress reports on how he's looking going into Europa. In his latest video, he looks like he's in really good shape at a week out from that show. He has really sharp lines, really good conditioning. He's really vascular, but I do want to say it does look to me like on this video there's some kind of sharpened filter to enhance the look of his lines and the look of his conditioning. But even so, we've seen a ton of different videos from him so far going into the show. And in every video that we've seen with or without filters, he looks like he's going to do some serious damage in this lineup. Again, you've got Ramy, you've got James Hollingshead, you've got Milan Sadic, Lucas Osadil, Samson Dauda. I mean, it's going to be a great lineup. And, of course, you've got Regan Grimes also in that lineup. Regan also posted a recent physique update just a day or two ago going into the Spain show. And that's what I like. That's why the Spain show is so exciting, is because all these guys are great bodybuilders, and all of these guys are keeping us updated. None of these guys are hiding away. They're all very confident about how they look. Typically, when you see a lot of physique updates like this from a guy, it means he's extremely confident in how his physique is looking. When a guy hides away, sometimes that means he's not so confident in how he's looking. But almost every guy in this lineup has posted a ton, day after day after day. This is exactly how I'm looking. I'm very confident in the package I'm going to bring to Spain. And I think this lineup is going to be a very well-conditioned lineup. Look at this physique update of Regan. He looks like he's in great shape for a guy his size and for this point in his prep. And, of course, you have Big Ramy, who is the odds-on favorite to win the show. He just posted a physique update at a week out as well. We talked about that already in a video, but I think everyone here is going to look good. I don't think we're going to see the best version of Ramy. I think we're going to see a good version of Ramy, but I don't think we're going to see the best conditioned version of Ramy that we're going to see. I think the best way to look at this from a Ramy perspective is this is going to be a warm-up for him for the Olympia. He's going to save that serious deep down conditioning for the Olympia. But he's gonna look good at this show, good enough to win and get to the Olympia. But I'm just telling you guys now, don't be expecting to see the best version of Ramy you've ever seen, because I don't think that's what we're going to see here. But I think we're going to see a good Ramy, a good enough to win Ramy, and then something different, hopefully something different and better at the Olympia. So definitely stay tuned to this channel, because after the next 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, there will be 4 more names added to the Olympia lineup. Maybe 5 if you count the point standings, because those point standings are going to change over these next 2 weeks. So maybe there's going to be, it might be 7 guys, because Chicago is the last opportunity to qualify. So the top 3 guys in point standings after Chicago are all going to the Olympia. So potentially after this next 2 weeks, you're going to have 7 new names added to that lineup. So this is a very big, very important 2 weeks as far as the Olympia is concerned. Now, speaking of the Mr. Olympia competition, let's talk about some Olympia contenders here. William Bonac with a physique update, a most muscular, and he says this was at 11 weeks out from the Olympia. And he says in the caption there, this photo was taken last week. So what do you guys think about this William Bonac physique update? I know a lot of you guys have been, his physique is kind of polarizing as far as my audience seems to be concerned. A lot of you guys love him, and a lot of you guys hate him based on his physique. Some people, love the amount of muscle that he has on such a short frame. Other people, they don't like the look of his arms. They say it looks too smooth, maybe a little bit too round, to the point where it might be a little bit sus. But honestly, I think he looks pretty good in this physique update, and he looks to be on track for the Olympia. Again, we're 10 weeks out right now, or a little over 10 weeks, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot how great of condition these guys are in right now, because they have 10 weeks to completely turn that thing around. But I do think it's good to have these benchmarks 10 weeks out, 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, so we can see how these guys are progressing throughout their prep towards the Olympia. So that's what I think the value in these physique updates are, is to have benchmark comparison points to look at where they were throughout their prep and see how much they really did improve from now to the Olympia. Now, next up in the news, a lot of you guys were tagging me in this on Instagram. Phil Heath gave a little bit more information about the documentary that he's going to be filming with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia, 7 Bucks Productions, going into the 2020 Mr. Olympia. Now, we already knew that Phil was coming out with a documentary. We talked about it maybe a year ago already, that he had this documentary coming out. Because when Athleticon got announced, what we thought was they were going to be filming his journey to Athleticon with Danny Garcia and The Rock's production company, because Danny Garcia and The Rock are also producing and promoting Athleticon. So it would have been interesting if Phil did that show, and then they followed his journey to that show, being the promoters of that show. And if you go over to the Mr. Olympia Instagram page, they posted a little bit more details on theirs. They had kind of the transcript of the Deadline.com report on the 7 Bucks Productions documentary. So it says, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia announced a documentary focused on the 2020 Mr. Olympia, so we'll be revolving primarily around that, and the return of Phil Heath. Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia's 7 Bucks Productions have set a feature documentary focusing on the attempt by 7-time Mr. Olympia Phil Heath to return after a 2-year hiatus to reclaim his status as arguably the greatest Mr. Olympia champion to walk the earth. Sorry, Arnold. Johnson and Garcia are the executive producers, and writing and directing the untitled film is Canadian filmmaker Brett Harvey. Inmate Number 1, The Rise of Danny Trejo. I guess that's a movie he has previously directed. The film will cover Heath's rise to the top of the bodybuilding mountain. He won every title every year, or he won the title every year from 2011 to 2017. And the adversity of trying to come all that way from a 2-year layoff, overcome injuries that come with 18 years of physical and mental sacrifice, and the beefcake that filled the gap while he was away and will be on stage against him. I guess that's referring to Brandon Curry? I don't know. That's kind of weird terminology to just say the beefcake that filled his gap. It's a weird way of putting it. Adding to this challenge of his comeback is the virus and its looming implications on his training schedule and the Olympia event itself. The event is scheduled for the weekend of December 16th in Las Vegas, presenting an entirely new dynamic to the hill that Heath must climb, as he once again stands on the edge of bodybuilding history, hashtag Olympia 2020. So I did see some good points in the comment section of these posts, a lot of them referring to this being the reason why we're not seeing or not going to see a whole lot of physique updates from Phil going into the Olympia, because he's going to save that stuff for the documentary. You can see his progress and his journey, obviously, on the road to this year's Mr. Olympia, which is good and bad for the fans. It's definitely good because you're going to get to see it at some point in this documentary after the Olympia. But I guess it's bad because a lot of people enjoy the lead up to the Olympia, and that would be something that would definitely spice up the lead up to the Olympia as a physique update from Phil Heath and get people talking. And I'm sure, I don't think we're not going to see anything else from Phil. I'm sure we're going to see some stuff, some physique updates possibly sprinkled in here and there, but maybe few and far between, and saving the bulk of that for the documentary. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, Chris Bumstead. Probably 1,000 of you guys tagged me in this Chris Bumstead physique update that he posted. So he's now weighing in at 251.7 pounds in the morning. So his previous physique update of 260, he's about 10 pounds down from that. And he says, prep starting means vacuums every day. I got to be able to hold it for a long time, showing no struggle by December. It's either practice until you almost pass out in the bathroom, or practice and don't pass out on stage, or don't practice and pass out on stage. So I think Chris is looking really dangerous here, and I think that caption kind of says it all. I think that's kind of the champion's mentality, to practice the vacuums every day, even when you might not have to, because he can obviously hit a vacuum pose, and it's something that he's able to do very well. But practicing it every day just to not pass out on stage, I think is going that extra mile, especially for the classic physique division. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Chris is able to put together on the Olympia stage this December. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. It really means a lot. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.